Welcome, everyone. My guest today for this Unplugged episode is Lead Analyst Logan Mohtashami, where we'll cover a few economic topics, but also get into some more personal questions on this holiday weekend. Before we dive in, I want to thank our sponsor, Trust and Will, for making this episode possible. Logan, welcome to the podcast. I cannot take you seriously right now.
What? These are the chart daddies really chart zaddy. So there's all these technology things they get you to, make your face look better as you age. And I don't know, this has red lights. It reminds me of like Battlestar Galactica. And, I'm just like, okay.
Oh, see, this is what we need. This is why this is an Unplugged episode. There will be some economic talk. There will also be just like random facts about you and me. And that's what we're doing because this is a holiday week. This is going to be published on the 26th. So I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas. And let's jump into it. Okay, so first let's talk about a little bit economic things. I think one of the things people want to know right now is like 2026. Your forecast isn't out yet, but what do you see?
So I mean, to me, it's my job is always to make sure to hold everyone's hand every single day and go with it because variables can change. And what I like about 2026 more than the other years is that we finally have active inventory to a level to where price growth is slowing down and the buyers can get back into the game without feeling like, okay, if I'm going to go in, I'm going against five people. People don't understand how much healthier it is that the multiple bids are away, right? The unhealthy housing market of 2020 to the very unhealthy housing market of 2021 to the savagely unhealthy, that's gone, right? There's choices. And we try to, with our slope of the curve and how we look at, active inventory, new listings, price cut percentages, historical data, demographics, credit data, there's all these things we go into it, but we always want to be there every single day. So if something does change, negative or positive, we go with it, right? We don't hide anything. The framework of the 2026 forecast is still with a much better backdrop. And then we'll give everyone details and things to look for because you don't want to be the person that just stays constantly wrong the entire year just for attention. You want to see if there's anything that shifts both positive and negative, or maybe we just have another flat year all the way around. But it's more of a guiding principle and things to do, because that's why we created the weekend tracker, just to give everyone, hey, heads up, this is it. This is what it's going to be like in 2-3 months. So we go with it.
Now that weekly data I think is so important. And, it helped you to identify. I mean, you look at stuff all the time. It helped you to identify and also let the readers know like when the market shifted in mid-June. Like,
and the same thing with 2020. Yeah, in 2024 as well. 2024, I think was confusing because purchase application data was still showing negative year over year. So people thought sales were still falling, but our pending contract data were showing that it's growing. But the week to week, that's why whenever we take our demand data, we show our pending sales weekly, total purchase application data, and we just go with it, right? And that's how it works. You can't like, massage the data. If home sales are rising 300,000-400,000, it'll show. If it's falling 300,000-400,000, but we work off the principle like we talked about in, for a few years now. It's just really rare to get existing home sales below 4 million. And most of the prints in 2026 were 4 million and above. And then now we go on. And again, a lot of this reminds me of the 1980s. And now that we have 3 years of the books after the big sales crash, it does look like the 1980s. But the 1980s had 2 recessions and rates fell noticeably. Like if rates were at 4.5% today, sales are rising. Just if they're 5.5%, sales are rising. So we just work off of that and figure out what needs to happen for sales to rise or what needs to happen for sales to fall.
I love it. Okay. More personal question. What are you watching right now? What do you like to, when you turn on the TV, what's your go-to series or what do you like to watch?
Football. I love football. I mean, I hate it when football is over. I love college football. I love NFL. Most people can see and even hear my, 49er talking points. Yeah, just a huge fan. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Yeah, that's what we love to do. So I'm a sports guy, man.
You are a sports guy. Okay, how many fantasy teams do you have?
2. I only like to do 1. but because of HousingWire has their own, I thought, I'll do two. But I always like doing just one. So you got to own it, right? You got to put everything into that. I never kind of thought like there's some people that have like 20, and it's like, what's the point of that, right? So you put your value into that. But fantasy football has been great. It's just because it makes more people watch a lot of the games. But what about Sarah Wheeler? Outside of bossing Logan, all year round, what does Sarah Wheeler watch?
What do I watch? Let's see. Right now I'm watching The Diplomat. So love that. It's with the lady who used to be Carrie. Can't remember her last name. Used to be on The Americans. I love anything that's like political intrigue, mystery kind of stuff. I watch a lot of true crime. I'm up to date on all
you're a
of the
true crime. You go to like the true crime Comic-Con thing, don't you?
I do. It's called Crime Con. It's not like Crime Con Comic Con where people don't dress up, stuff like that. But yes, I am up to date on every probably big case, high profile case out there right now. So,
So speaking of which, before HousingWire, what job did you do that just made you cringe?
Wait, a job I didn't like?
Or yeah, something you did before HousingWire that made you like cringe. You think, oh man.
Okay, well, way back in the day, I was a cook at a place like Chili's. It wasn't Chili's. And Logan, I'm not a great cook. I'm an okay cook. I'm a good family cook. But at the time I was like 18, I'm 19. I'd not cooked hardly anything in my life. And I told the person this, and they made me the line cook anyway. And then the guy who was training me quit. And so it was literally lunch rush was totally on me. It pretty much, I could do that today, no problem. But at the time, it was so bad. And so after 2 weeks of me trying and failing, we came to a mutual understanding that I should probably find another line of work. And I was so glad because it was so stressful. I'm like, and when I told them that, because I was in DC and they were like, they hired you as a cook? And they're like, do they know you don't know how to cook? And I was like, yes, I told them that. So it was awful. So that was my worst job ever.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, what about you? Worst job?
I was a high school basketball coach actually for 5 years in the previous century, but I got to tell you that one of the most embarrassing things that I cringe about, which I know some people are still trying to find the video of.
I know what you're going to say. Is
like, I did some commercial print acting and modeling work in the last decade. I used to have blonde hair. I used to
in the last decade or the last
last century, excuse me, okay. Last century, yeah. And because of my hair, my hair was blonde, and it was just like the roots were. So it was funky. I looked like Lion King, Simba, So I had, and I remember one day they just director saw me. He's like, I need you to come to the studio right now and film something. And I was like, what? Me? You're talking to me? Yes. You got the hair. Just come on. So I go there and I'm thinking they're making a commercial. And this is the first like official commercial I've ever done. But they have me dancing, and, they were selling their product and they have me dancing. And I was thinking to myself, there was wind blowing and everything, but I was still a high school basketball coach. And what occurred was, I was thinking nobody's ever going to see this. And I don't have, because I think I have like an 18-year-old girl like dancing in front of me. We're supposed to be in a club and everything. And I was like, that's not me. This hair might make you think it is, but it isn't. So what happened, which was still cringy to me, is that this was for a studio. And then when the product was finally done and they sent it out, I said, I wasn't going to tell anybody about it because I was so embarrassed. But the kids that I coached, they all saw this video and then they told everybody. So I'm going in, I got the whistle ready to go for basketball practice. And then all the kids are doing the dance.
Oh my gosh.
And I sat there and I was just like, and I sat there and I was like, if anybody says anything, you guys are doing 10 suicides each, and all that. So they all became quiet, but yeah, that was cringe. That was as cringe as it get. And I've done some crazy auditions over the years, but auditioning for a Snickers commercial, for a Super Bowl, where I was a NBA basketball rookie and I was talking all this trash, and we're in the shower, and all the older players hate me, and I drop a bar of soap and tell everybody, hey, you guys pick it up, and no, you pick it up, and this is Snickers, right? You open the Snickers bar, going to be here for a while. So that would have been very cringe back
Oh my
then.
gosh. Oh
Thankfully,
my gosh. But I would pay to get a hold of
well,
that tape.
it was. Let me tell you something. We were the final two, and they thought it was way too racy for the 1990s. So I was like, "Thank you," But so that's the cringiest story I have, because I really loved coaching basketball.
But kids can be brutal, man. I mean, kids are
oh, they were doing the dance. They had their hair like my hair, and they're like, "Coach, what was that about? What's this?" And it was terrible. I sat there like, oh. I have to do this, but I don't want it. It's cringy.
I've heard from other people who did modeling work, and you have no idea how they're going to use those images, and then it comes up with this super embarrassing like pharmaceutical product, and there's your picture, and like
oh
you
yeah,
have some sort of
you're just like, I knew I was done when they were trying to teach me how to do the catwalk, and I was like, and then I had some like 10-year-old girls screaming at me that I had no idea what I'm doing. And I was just like, man, I'm a ball player. I'm not doing this. So I quit on that. Like that was the thing.
But you got into it because one of your friends was like, hey, you should come do this. I mean, it wasn't like your lifelong dream.
And it was just like, I remember getting a Tilly's commercial, like a Tilly's contract. I was going to be a Tilly's model. My God, I can't believe I'm saying this. I was a Tilly's model for a year. So I had 4 seasons to do this, but I broke my nose 2 days before the photo shoot, so I was just like, the Lord is telling me not this move. You're going to be the chart daddy in about 20, 30 years. So you need to start redoing that. So get out of here,
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. You come in with a broken nose. They're like, this is not model behavior, sir. This is not what we expect,
Now, did you always want to write and edit? Was that always the game plan?
Yep. From the time I was young, I wanted to either write books or especially work on newspapers. Love of my life, newspapers. Very sad to me that so many of them have gone under, but I feel so lucky because I work for an independent news company within HousingWire. HousingWire is a media company. We have an independent newsroom, and they're able to do incredible work, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I feel so lucky. It's hard to have a journalism job in this day and age, and I have a great one. So
this was all a tragic accident for me. It's literally that there was no intention to do any of this. Jason Resnick, who runs Benzinga Financial, he saw me talking on social media. See, if I didn't have such a loud mouth and talking a lot, none of this would have happened.
That's what got you where you are, man.
Yeah. So he saw me. I remember I was talking to Michelle Cabrera, who was a CNBC anchor back then, and he said, "Do you want to write about political economics?" I'm like, "No, puke. No, I don't like politics, but I could talk about real estate." So that kind of spawned anything. And oddly enough, I'm a byproduct of the doomers. Like, I'm only here today because by 2014, it was so funny. It was QE3 was quantitative easing 3 was ending. And these people were like, oh my God, that's like planet Earth. Human life would cease to exist if we didn't have QE3. And I was like, that's really not how it works. And I was like, these people are just doomers, right? So I was like, after that, like QE3 ended and nothing terrible happened and bond yields were falling. I was like, okay, all right, we're going to have to do this as an analyst because clearly nobody wants to like talk the truth. Everyone wants a doom porn. So oddly enough, action, reaction, as the devil flows through the cities of, the God sends his angels and tries to fight them. And it was really that. I mean, it was just a byproduct that somebody has to fight these people. And here we are today, 11 years later after that. And we're still fighting the same battles, right? There's just this constant conflict. I was like, I joke, it's like Batman versus the Joker, right? For 80, 90 years, they're going to have this constant battle because they have to have each other. That's how the relationship works. There has to be doomers 24/7. There has to be like a pro-America person. and the conflict is there.
And you love it. You're made for this. So you wrote your own blog, Financial Truth. Is that what it was called? The
Yes,
Logan
it was
Mohtashami blog?
Logan Mohtashami. God, I'm such an arrogant, LoganMohtashami.com. That's what it was. The headline was Financial Truth. It's just like, we're
It was great. And then in 2020, you started becoming a regular columnist for us. And it was so great to be able to edit you because you were very open, very flexible. Lots of writers are, they do not like it when you suggest changes. And you were so open, which is good because you would turn in like 5,000 word stories. And I was like, there is no universe in which our readers are going to read 5,000. And you do it like 3 times a week. And I was like, your output, my God, it was so incredible. And I loved that part of it. But I was like, you've got to cut it down so much. And then you'd cut it down and I'd be like, no, you actually have to cut it down even more.
Yeah. I tend to go overboard because I want to make sure to get everything in there. And that's just not how the word works. And, it's one thing learning that, through this day and age about social media. I mean, you just, how to connect with more. I mean, look what the Stranger Things reel did.
This story is crazy.
I have actors tell me, I didn't know you worked on the Stranger Things set. I mean, I have people that look.
Wait, so explain this if people don't know what we're talking about. That you used AI to put yourself. It looks like you were like one of the extras, or like a stunt double, or on the set, or something.
So the Stranger Things AI, I took one right away, and it's just basically kind of me on set for all the seasons. So it looks like I was part of there. The thing is, the initial photo is me with the main villain in his costume. But what happened is that went viral worldwide. So when you look at Instagram marketing for Netflix, it's all the actors and their, choreographic marketing. And then there's me sitting there smiling and doing my thing. And it's big in Brazil, it's big in India, the US, Argentina, Japan. So it's all these things where that couldn't happen, 20, 30 years ago. But if connecting with people in video, so I like give me 24/7. I could talk all day.
It's true,
but you have to make it in a way that people could understand. And early on, when I was writing, and you saw it, I was writing way too much. Right? That's just not going to work. Right? So we try to condense things as much as possible because to me, it's like I want to get every single thing in. Like I got to get this point, and that's just not going to work. Right? You're just like. People are normal
it's a teacher in you. I think it's a teacher in you where you're like, but they may not understand this. So let's go deep here. And it was just like, there's a great format for that. It's just, it's probably a book. It's probably a lot of things, but it's not an article. Oh, okay.
And
for those of you not watching, you should look on YouTube because we have a beautiful picture of you and your cat, one of your cats.
So Puff, original name was Remy, 2 strays. We had this whole neighborhood had an orange cat that was running around for 18 months, and it was just very loud. And there's tons of coyotes here. And
you live in Orange County, which is weird that there's coyotes, but they run around.
Yeah, well, I live in Irvine. It's right next to a few hills. So this cat was just impossible to catch. So eventually I got him. He got away, got him again. He got away. But the third time he brought Puff, which is a Maine Coon, and
just as his friend.
I know. And then I was like, what are you doing? So I thought it was a female. I thought, oh boy, I gotta, just in case, if she's pregnant and everything. So I got him, found out he was a male. Eventually, Cornelius, the orange cat, I call him the nuclear bomb because he makes so much noise and he climbs up walls and rooftops and people see him in their windows. So he's a character, but he eventually got caught by the city animal shelter people, and he was deemed not to be, livable with humans. So I said,
adoptable. But you were like, if I take him, will you let me take him?
Listen, if you neuter him, I'll take him because I got his buddy here, and these two are like, they're like brothers. They play and fight. They literally act like brothers. So, of course, my tuxedo cat that I've had for 14 years, he hates it. because he's not the,
He's
baby
like,
anymore.
what are you doing bringing
What?
these cats
Yeah.
in?
So Remy's a part of the family, and he, like all Maine Coons, they latch onto one person, and he is loud. So people
He
laugh
is
because
so
when I
loud.
do these videos on Instagram, you could just hear him all of a sudden, and
Well,
he'll
and
come
sometimes
on.
on the podcast, even if he's in the other room, I'm like, we can hear your cat because
Yeah.
he's crying and it's so loud it comes through the door and it sounds like, what's going on there?
Yes, he's a big baby.
Okay, Logan, what are you excited about for 2026? Like, when you look at 2026, what is going to set it apart as like, this is going to be a good year for housing?
Well, I mean, to me, it's the first balanced year because I set metrics for it. I said, as soon as we get 4 months plus of supply and get active inventory above 1.52 million. Now, of course, it's below that right now because it's a seasonal decline. But as soon as we hit that, we're in a buyer seller's market again, right? Where the marketplace dictates what things do. And to me, that's so exciting because I think that's where our data really comes into play. When everything is like when inventory is at all-time lows and mortgage rates are 3%, there's just demands, there's nothing there, but here it's the first time where it's just now it's a fight, right? It's an authentic, fair fight now. And that was the whole concept of team higher rates. Team higher rates was to get people,
Right?
get
Back in
inventory up.
2021, right?
Yeah, February was February of 2021 where I thought, boy, this is a very, very bad thing right now because the problem was there was so much talk about forbearance. Remember the forbearance crash bros?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, they were just terrible. They thought millions of homes were about to come. Like forbearance ended October 20th, but most people got their jobs back and they weren't going to, sell their houses being employed. But we really needed higher rates. And unfortunately, all of 2021 rates were still low. And again, Fed policy is not around the existing home sales market, either positive or negative. But it was one of these things where unemployment rates were still elevated and nobody really believed in the recovery still in 2021 because of COVID. So it was a very peculiar situation on a historical basis. But now, it's like everything I wanted to see. I hope it was earlier, but now it's finally here. So it's the buyer versus seller marketplace, and that's going to be, and of course, like the nerd tour is so much fun, and that's just the beauty of this job is being able to present in front of people and explain to people and get. The best part is when people start to get it, right? When
And
people
we've seen
start,
it. We've seen
yeah.
people who are like, now I understand. They let us know on social. They let us know in different avenues. They're like, I was able to explain this to my buyer. I now understand this, and I can, I can plan better. It's been really cool.
Yeah. So what are you? What are you looking for 2026?
I think it's great that we have, we've had such a hard couple years in the housing industry. So I am happy for our industry. There's been, so much change that hopefully this can be a better year for everybody. And I feel like there's a lot of promise this year when we see what people are doing with AI, when we see how people are really leveraging that. At the same time, man, lots of variable factors as there were all this year. When you think about tariffs, when you think about regulation changes, when you think about different ideas sort of thrown up to see what's going to stick. It makes it really interesting as a news organization. I love it. It's great for me. And then hopefully, parsing through that and helping our audience understand, I hope it's great for them too.
Yes, and I know you cringe when I say, "Hey, Sarah, I made a couple AI photos of us to go with the season." And you're like,
Always.
"No,
I was like,
no."
do not make any AI photos. And this is the thing, like you're really good at, you actually try to get better at it every day with AI. You're always using AI videos, which listen, that's what got you your, how many new followers did you get from the stranger?
I got 17,000 new followers just from
And
that.
we'll see how many of those are interested in like,
Yeah,
your economic work.
listen, most aren't going to be interested in the tracker data. I can guarantee that. But again, it helps for the algorithm. But in this case, 2026 will be a lot of fun. Yeah,
It will be
can't
a
wait.
lot of fun. And I will tell people, sign up for the Housing Economics Summit on February 10th. You're going to be there in person. We have so many great people going to be there in person. And if you're listening to this podcast, if you're a regular listener and you don't subscribe to HousingWire, I got to tell you, you're losing out because Logan does a great job giving you a condensed version, but he does a deep dive on that tracker. Plus, we have a whole newsroom full of people focused on real estate, mortgage, appraisal, title, regulation, what's going on in DC, and it's like the news people need to know to run their business. So sign
Yes,
up.
and always remember, you can get Altos data for your city, zip code, state, county.
Yep.
Housing is, of course, there's the general housing market flows with macroeconomic data, of course, but the South is much different than the Northeast, and so there's you can have an advantage tracking live data that doesn't have an agenda to doom porn, as I always say, but to work with live data that not a lot of people would have access to 20 years ago.
Well, and on this Unplugged episode, we can say thank you to our, to all the listeners. We love our fans. Look at that cat. He's so cute. And we really appreciate you guys. It seems more of a conversation. Like it's a conversation between you and me, but then we meet people all the time and they reach out to us and contact us. So it feels like we really are having a conversation with our listeners. We love that. Continue to do that and let us know what you want to see different or the same. What do you want Logan to do more of in the new year? That's what we need to know. But we appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you all. It's for a small niche podcast like this to be in the top 10, top 20 business news podcasts. It's not because of us, it's because of all of you keeping this going.
Love it. Okay, Logan, we'll see you again. And I think the next time we talk, or at least in the next couple times we talk, we will be talking about your forecast,
yes,
which I've been bugging you about forever. So anyway, thank you for all you do for us, Logan. Really appreciate you.
Same thing, boss. Somebody has to boss me around. So
somebody does.
Yes.
All right. Talk soon.